All right, we're live. Welcome everyone. Frank the Tank, what's up, my man? Ramtin. How are you doing? I'm doing very good, thanks for asking. Had a pretty busy weekend. Wasn't home a lot, but we're fully back now. Ready to check some more charts. Already did a scan this morning, posted some charts in Discord, but yeah, it's getting exciting, you know. We're approaching all-time highs once again. So let's give our thoughts and our game plans in a second, and then maybe do some requests. Let's just wait a couple more minutes so some more people can join, and then we'll get started. Hello everyone, Dennis B, Sahil, Degani, Faisal, Singh, welcome. What do you think about ETH and beta this time for Bitcoin system ETH? Difficult question, but if you're asking me what I think about ETH, it's looking good in my opinion. Up move, ranging, and now looking like it wants to break out. But I'll give my detailed thoughts in a second. Like I said, just waiting a couple more minutes. Thoughts on Litecoin. We'll do all of these after Bitcoin. Then I'll do some requests as well, so stay tuned. Where is that accent from? From Belgium. Do you have an AV pack? No, I do not. I have Bitcoin, ETH, BNB. Oof, BNB is looking good. Sol. I have some Doggy, and then recently bought Hype as well, like right here, just before we broke above $30, and I'm planning to sell at around 60. I'm based in Antwerp. Nice, man. All right, let's get started. We've got around 50 people in here, which is good. So let's dive into the charts. Before we get into the charts, quick shout out to Blowfin for sponsoring the streams and for being a great partner. I'm currently trading on Blowfin, still doing the 10K trading account where we try to trade it as high as possible. We went up a lot and then down a lot, and well, not down a lot, but recently it's been quite difficult. But yeah, we're still well in profit. The balance at the moment is around 60k, and we're looking to trade it as high as we can. If you want to join that journey, you can join the Discord group. How do you join the Discord group? Well, simply by making an account on Bluefin and making a deposit. If you do so, join the Discord. There's a UID channel where you can enter your UID and you will automatically be added to the group. Okay, so it's not a paid group, right? I'm not asking you for money. All I'm asking is for you to try out Bluefin and to trade on my link there. All right, so with that being said, oh yeah, lastly, leave a like if you haven't already. I see we already have 12 likes. That's amazing. Let's try to get them to 30 at least by the end of the stream. Subscribe to my YouTube if you haven't already. We're close to 9k subs, going for 10k still. So if you all could subscribe, that would help me a lot. All right, let's dive into the charts. So starting off with Bitcoin, where do we start? High time frame probably. On the weekly, right, we had this very good reaction after sweeping the lows into 74, 75k. Down there I was bullish because all the lows got swept into just a key pivotal area, right? If you just take a look at this sort of zone, right, it's been resistance here for all this time, broke out aggressively, came back down there. Was unlikely that we would just slip through that area, so we bounced. We didn't know, of course, that we were going to bounce this aggressively, but we did. Down there I was bullish. Let me see if I still have the tweet. That's where I bought. As you can see, I called it on the exact day of the low, that it would, I thought at least it was a great entry to buy spot. I did buy spot in this area as well, but just on a previous dip. So I personally bought like right here at around 80k. But yeah, I felt like things weren't going to move a lot lower. And as you could see, strong weekly close, and from there after that sweep, right, so we had an initial low, another sweep, then like no follow through to the downside. You didn't really see this as a retest, because on the daily, let me show you, so this was the low, right? You could argue that this was the retest, or yeah, sort of the lower high, but if you zoom out to the weekly, you can see that it just disappears. So then this would be the breakout, this would be the low, right? And then that would be the area where there would be tons of liquidity, which is why I was targeting that low to get swept once more, right? So we made the lower high right here, and then if we were going to see continuation to the downside, it should have been from here, right? That didn't happen. We swept the low, boom, very strong reaction, telling us that this was just the sweep of this former low that would ultimately lead to at least a sweep of this in here. And if we would break back above that range mean level around 90k, that we would be targeting range highs, okay? And that played out beautifully as well. We got the close above, dips were for buying, straight up to all-time highs. Now that we're trading at all-time highs, right, what are we watching next? Well, we swept the highs here. Sorry. The question on this weekly range was this going to be a sweep that would lead to lower prices towards range mean again and potentially range low again, just like we saw right here? I saw a lot of people comparing this, right, where we dumped aggressively, made a low, came all the way back to all-time highs, swept all-time highs, and then all the way into a bear market, all the way down into 16k. So for us to know that, right, what was important to me was the reaction at the lows, right? If that was the case, let me remove this. If that was the case and this was the bearish sweep, ideally what you're gonna get is not a lot of retraces and just straight down. Okay, I'm not sure if it was the same here. Yeah, as you can see, you didn't get a perfect retest of this area before heading lower, right? Crashed lower, aggressive wick, bounced, okay, just a bit of ranging, then lower, continuation, right? Another sweep, continuation. You get the idea. If things are really bearish, they just nuke. And that was the thing that I was watching, right? When we approached these lows. If there was gonna be still interest in buys, right, from the spot side, the reaction at these lows should have been a quick buyback, and that's exactly what we got. So we swept the lows on this move. As I said multiple times, a sweep doesn't necessarily need to be a wick, as long as it's a close below and we smash back above the lows as fast as possible, just within the next few candles. That's considered an aggressive sweep that took liquidity to the downside, right? So that's what we did here. We came back down to the lows, initially ugly close, right? But if this was the sweep above all-time highs, that would lead to lower prices. We should have seen straight continuation from that close. All right, and that's not what we saw. We saw a good buyback after sweeping the lows. That's why I pulled the trigger on a long, right? I initially waited a bit, but then when I saw strength come in, as you can see where my entry is, strong 4-hour closes, I pulled the trigger, thought it was worth it, gave my stop a little bit of room in case we would get some ugly wicks again. I wanted to see the reaction, but ultimately what was I targeting? Well, the opposite side of this lower time frame range, which was up here. After that, all-time highs, and after that, swing target all the way up. This is just random, by the way, towards 120 to 130k. All right. So that was sort of my thought process behind this long idea and why I pulled the trigger, right? If things were bearish and we were targeting lower, we should have seen continuation from the daily close right here, right below this range low level, but instead strong 4-hour close right after, another strong 4-hour close, pull the trigger, and as you can see, traded higher nicely so far. So that's what happened in the past, why I pulled the trigger on this long. Now the question is, what am I watching next? Well, honestly, I don't really see a reason here to be bearish on Bitcoin, which is why I'm just simply holding and targeting a lot higher. I feel like if things were bearish here, the last, like I said, initially I wanted to see continuation from here. If it still was bearish, right, and it just wanted to sweep the lows, trap people into long, into new all-time highs, and then instead pump into resistance and retrace from there, even that scenario got invalidated, in my opinion, because of the way we traded into this range high level. Okay, so if we would have done that scenario, I feel like we should have swept these highs here into this pivotal mid-range level, as you can see, lining up with supply right here. That led to the downside, lining up with, if you draw your OTE from the high to the low, as you can see, that area is lining up beautifully. So then, in my opinion, we should have seen something like this, and then within the next few candles, a smash back below, and then continuation to the downside. But that's not what we got. Instead, we smashed back above this range mean level, smashed back into this supply consolidation above OTE. So in my opinion, as long as we hold above this range mean level now, the sky is the limit and we're just gonna break to new all-time highs. What would invalidate? Always good to ask yourself that question, and always good to be eyeing multiple scenarios, right? Both the bullish and the bearish, even if you're bullish, just to feel more relaxed and know what you want to do if things don't play out as how you expected them to be. So what would I be watching then? Well, let's say we start dumping here, right? As long as we hold above this daily range mean on a daily close basis, I'm bullish. So I could see wicks in there, although at the moment I doubt it because of how things are looking, because of the look of the daily, how strong we closed and barely a wick to the upside. But anyways, let's say we do, right? Wicks below there are fine. You're gonna see, I think at least, yeah, as you can see, the weekly open and the monthly open are fairly are lining up fairly well, right? They are below this range mean, but I could see wicks to test this. But as long as we smash back above here and hold above right after, I think things look good for a lot higher. But personally, I don't think we get that. But we'll have to see, you know. The weekly at the moment is looking like this. Let's quickly... So it's always good to ask yourself if this would happen, the weekly close would look like this, right? So in this case, the weekly doesn't really have a long wick to the downside. We pumped into this range high level, so technically we are trading at resistance, right? So let's say we start rejecting, as I said, as long as it's rejecting into a retest of this area and continuation to the upside, we should be fine. But let's say we get ugly price action down here and start ranging here again and see selling pressure from there. Think about how the weekly would look then. Would be a long wick on the weekly to the upside into range high and a bearish close. Well, at that point I could see a straight all the way back into this weekly range mean at 90k. But like I said, that's way too early to talk about that. For now, I'm just going to be monitoring the lower time frames, the daily, the 4 hour, and as long as we hold above this area, I think we break to new all-time highs, right? But always good to be ready for anything. As you can see on the daily as well, strong close, from the close almost straight down, small wick to the downside. Ideally, this just turns around and starts breaking above there. I've barely seen a daily structure top like this. So I think even if it's bearish, that we're at least gonna see one more sweep in here and maybe then reject or just push into new all-time highs. Okay, so for now, I'm just gonna be holding this long. I did take profits on, I took off 45% at this high. As I said, stops are at break even. And I'm just letting it run as I think we trade towards all-time highs. But like I said, if we break below this range mean here, at that point, I'll likely close longs. But that's my game plan for Bitcoin. Honestly, any dip for me would be a great place to add. Because yeah, obviously right now it's easy to say I should have held the full position, but always good to take some off at key areas, which is why I did that. So yeah, let's see what we get. Is that clear for everyone? What my thoughts and game plan is for Bitcoin? Can you maybe say why it will be different to them? Yeah, like I said, you're probably talking about the comparison between this and this right here. And like I said, if it's a bearish sweep, right, they're not gonna give you a chance to short a perfect retest. Last year. What do you mean? This consolidation. Makes sense if you want to target a long entry here, what do you think is a feasible plan? Well, if you're not in longs at the moment, yeah, obviously try to long, as close to this local range mean as possible, this pivotal area, right? So if you get a dip in there, but yeah, the question is, what if you don't get a dip, right? And we start breaking out from here. You could always try a long from here, keep your invalidation maybe below this consolidation right here. If you're targeting 120k, that's still 2.5R. And if you get the dip, right, you get the chance to add, lower your entry, and then if it starts breaking out, you start trailing your stops. So that's probably how I would play it then. Although I personally wouldn't take a setup like this. Then I'd rather just sit out and hold spot rather than longing into this. The pump into late July, let's see. What do you mean here? Yeah, I mean that could happen. That's why I said if you compare this, for example, like what would happen? Let's try to. Where is it? Bars pattern. Let's say we do something like this. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to. Or maybe, yeah. Something like this, you mean? Well, then even then, you know, let's say we do pump from here, sweep the highs, reject ugly. After that, that would be a first sign of weakness, right? So that would already be a heads up, at least to take some more profits on longs, maybe not short, but at least not be fully exposed into longs. And at that point, if you see us start breaking down and break back below range mean here, like I said, that would be the warning signal for me to close longs, to be cautious on the entire market, because at that point, I could see it dump all the way back into these lows again. And at that point, could see it retest all the way back into this weekly range mean, all the way down into 90k. All right, so it's not like we at the moment we don't know what's gonna happen, right? And everyone is always asking questions like, where do you think we will top? Where do you think the low will be in? Like, those are questions that nobody knows, right? So there's no point in asking them. The question you've got to ask yourself is, how do you make money in this market? By trading, and that's by having multiple plans and reacting to what the market is doing at the moment. You know, not about where you think it will top. Like, if you think it will top at 120k, are you blindly gonna short it if it's showing a lot of strength in there? Like, no. At the moment we see strength, right? We saw a really strong daily close. We see a small wick to the downside on the daily with barely a wick to the upside, clean highs above, right? That's what we see at the moment. And that's why we're in longs, why we're holding longs. If we see something else, we see a sweep and a rejection, at that point we see things as warning signals, right? And we're more cautious. That's how I play the market, at least. I don't know if it makes sense. Anyways, that was Bitcoin. So everything clear now? Then we'll move over to some altcoins. Where is the music, by the way? Okay, it's back. Peter, what's up? Welcome, man. Good to see you. Could you maybe cover Say? Yes, but we'll wait out with the requests because I'm gonna cover some altcoins on my own first. Starting off with BNB. BNB, I've been bullish. Is the music too loud or? That should be better. Okay, BNB, I've been bullish on this for months. Holding spots as well on this. Has really shown strength and sort of broke the lower high pattern that we've seen from the past. Like I'm talking about this, swept all-time highs. I mean, this was a sweep as well, but anyways, after this we saw this pattern like lower low, lower high, boom, boom, and now finally we broke above here, dip, retested this. So in my opinion, this looks very good for significant upside. So yeah, I'm holding spot on this. I might actually look for longs as well. Let's see. That's the 4 hour. Yeah, I mean, you have your invalidation below here now, you see. So if you were too long, boom, somewhere there, and target a lot higher. Actually, I'm gonna take this with a little risk on. There we go. So, loving the look of BNB, just longed, invalidation below this low. Key level, as long as the daily closes up here. Oh, it was, yeah, the 3-day, I mean. Yeah, this just looks amazing in my opinion. You have this strong up move, right? Strong daily close. Then this was the high we made. Rejection from there to this low, back to the highs, high swept, back to the lows, low swept, back in the range right now. After a move up like that, that can be considered as a continuation range. What confirms it? Firstly, the break above range mean, which is what we're seeing right now. Secondly, the break above range highs, okay? But the fact that we reclaimed this, right, and saw this strong daily close, in my opinion, tells us that it wants to trade to new highs. Because otherwise, right, if this was bearish, once again, it should have seen continuation from the retest here, in my opinion, and not do this just to do this then. So that's why I'm bullish on this one. So yeah, first target, all of these highs up here, then all-time highs, and after that, use your fib levels from the high to the low of the most recent leg. And then you have some nice targets right below 1K. That's also a psychological level, so take some profits right below there. And after that, 1.1K, and I just take profits on the way up. All right, that's BNB. Ethereum, of course. We swept the lows, right, on the monthly. On the monthly, we said the mission is to close the monthly above this range high level. If we do so, I'll be targeting previous month's high. We did that. It played out. What I was watching here was not topping into this consolidation here, but was locally topping after the sweep of this into range mean, right? So that could still be a thing where we do something like this and then locally top, right? And see more ranging, blah, 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 blah. if we close the weekly above here, then I think we just send it to range highs to 4K. Okay, so for now, on the lower time frames, it looks very good. Think it breaks out, yeah. Lower time frame target, likely overshoot 3K just by a bit into range mean, maybe something like this. Then reaction will be key. If we smash back above here and trade higher and close the weekly anywhere up here, that's bullish and I'd be targeting a lot higher. If we do something like this and reject hard, start consolidating here, then I think the chances increase of getting more ranging before ultimately trading lower or higher. All right, that's ETH. Hype, nothing too much to update. We longed it right here. So what were we watching on this? It traded all the way down here. We did a nice play right here, and then up here we said we thought like what's the last bearish thing that could happen to hype here? And then we said, well, if we sweep these highs into this supply and reject, that would be bearish and likely lead to more ranging, right? But then we got this close and we turned full bull, targeted these highs up here and all-time highs, and as you can see, played out beautifully so far. And I don't really see a reason to turn bearish on hype right as it's breaking above all-time highs. So any dip on hype is a long, in my opinion, targeting 60K plus. All right, then Litecoin, nothing too much to update either. Saw a good reaction on the weekly after trading down to this demand, but then rejected pretty ugly again. Now seeing a bounce on this daily demand for a bit, but nothing too exciting. I'd say once we get above OTE, that's when things could get exciting. Like right here, the supply where things started breaking down. So if we get it back above here, we could start talking about these highs again. But for now, I think there's better options out there to trade and to hold, because I think this will just be an underperformer for now. Of course, I hope it trades higher as I'm holding this. Why am I holding this? Well, because it's been trading in a range for months, and I do think once this breaks out, that it could do something aggressive. Okay, so then I think it trades towards like $250 to $300 fairly quickly. Reminds me a bit of Link when it was trading down here. Traded down there for weeks, for months, right? And as soon as it broke out, look at what it did. Straight towards some highs. And that it's just a safe hold in the range, right? Because it's telling you that it doesn't really want to trade lower. And I have similar vibes for Litecoin. So I don't think, so your risk, right, is tight. Because I don't think that we trade much lower, while if you do break out, the rip to new highs could be aggressive. That's what I'm seeing, at least, and why I'm holding this. Yeah, then another one that I'm holding longs of is Cookie. Cookie, solid fundamentals, as well as a very nice chart, right? Where I'm gonna take another one actually on Max. A little bit more data. So initially very aggressive pump, came all the way back down, then did the pattern that I've talked about a ton, right? Where it sees a lot of time just slowly downtrending, starts ranging here, right? Then goes down for the lows again. I'm not gonna take this wick, just gonna take these lows. Oops. There. Then swept the lows, reclaimed them, retested them, and look at the reaction. Strong pump from there. Sorry. retesting this clean SR level now and looking strong, looking like it wants to break out. So in my opinion, once this gets going, it's gonna go for another high, right? Something like this, where it now does something like this. Ideally looking to TP this around 50 cents. So that's why I'm in a long on this one, not holding it, but where is it? There, that's the setup. As you can see, straightforward. Long the consolidation, invalidation below the lows. Why below the lows? Because on the lower time frames, we had this as lows, this as the highs, swept the lows, and now trading towards the highs. So you have a clean validation. If this wants to trade higher from here, should hold above this. Firstly, lower time frame range lows, and secondly, higher time frame range mean. All right. So yeah, that's basically it. If you're enjoying the stream, leave a like, by the way. We're at 20 likes. Let's get them to 30 at least. All right, let's get some requests now. So feel free to post any ticker in the chat and we'll take a look at some. Doggy. Don't spam, by the way. If you posted like 15 times, I'm just not gonna look at it. Yeah, Doggy is not looking bad, but not really looking good either. But it traded towards weekly demand down here. Tested this. So if we get back above these lows, above former consolidation, which is going to be key resistance, right? Then I could really see this rip. But until then, likely better things out there. Just like with Litecoin. You see this consolidation. Going to be key resistance now. But if you get back above here, right? Then this becomes the weekly higher low from here. And then you have a break in market structure that likely leads to range highs again. But for now, not really interested in this. Kaito. Kaito, good one. So we were really bullish on Kaito, right? Looking for this to trade to new highs. But it showed weakness. So we had to close out. And it's just such a weird coin that trades so strange. But anyways, weekly closed very bearish. We did sweep a ton of lows. All of these lows right here got swept, right? Now looking fairly strong. But what I'm waiting for is just for this to really show strength above some key levels before I pull the trigger again, right? Bears are gonna have a really clean invalidation now. If this does something like this, for example, right? Bears have a clean invalidation right here. So what I want to see is really strength above this level, this area, right? So that was resistance, deviated above, broke back below, resistance, sold off. So if this is bearish, right? Maybe wicks above there, break back below. If we get something like this and dips are getting bought, that's where I'll pull the trigger. Then you have your invalidation, which is clean below here, and then you target the highs. But for now, like, it's just underperforming, as you can see, you know, it's just acting weak. So I'd rather wait on this one until it shows you that it wants to trade higher, and then you pull the trigger for margin at least. That's what I'm talking about. Then say, yeah, you can immediately see it's not an exciting coin. because of how low it's trading at the moment. But anyways, we'll take a look. Some key levels here, some key highs up here. Daily, swept some lows. You can see low time frame sweep, retested resistance but rejected hard, aggressive sweep, and now strong bounce breaking back above this. So technically that could be a break in market structure, but I personally would be waiting on this because it could still reject heavily in this area. If it does something like this and shows strength like right here, sweep some lows and gets bought up from there, then you pull the trigger, invalidation below here, and target these highs. But for now, not convinced. Altcoin, the big coin, strong, right? I've talked about how I wasn't interested in it anymore when it was trading like right here, because it was showing weakness, because it swept the highs, rejected, right? And it did end up going all the way down for these lows, swept those lows, and now seeing a good reaction. But still, for Altcoin, I'm not sure. It's getting into key resistance. If it trades back above here, right, then I could see a squeeze a lot higher. But until we do that, we're just testing resistance here. So I'm not gonna FOMO in here into resistance just to get dumped on, right, if it wants to do this and trade lower from there. I'm not saying it's gonna do that, right? But for me, it makes more sense to wait for a break above resistance and long then, rather than longing into resistance right here. So right here, not interested in longs. Does it look good? Yes. What do I think is going to happen? I have no clue. But if it shows strength up here, then I will be interested in longs. Until then, it's simply ranging between this area and the area down here. All right. Dot. I mean, you can already see coin that looks like this. Not interested in trading this. Has been ranging for a long time. So if it starts breaking out, sure. But personally, I'm not interested in this one. Maybe trades back to these highs and at that point has some squeeze potential in here. But yeah, as for trades, I'm not interested. Looks like say a bit. You see where it swept these lows. Could be a break in market structure, but it's coming right at resistance and could easily do this. Egan. See, this looks better. This one I like more. Yeah, this looks good. Target would be this high, just a key high, and you have right above there key resistance. Yeah, I could see something like this play out, definitely. Man, just not the best risk reward. What's low time frame saying? Yeah, if you keep your stops maybe there. This could work, but overall I like this. Showing strength after coming down all the way to these lows. But yeah, we'll see. No worries, Manjinder Singh. Ina had some strength, but was looking overall pretty weak. Yeah, still is. See, but once this breaks out, I could see it do some dumb shit where it really trades a lot higher, fairly quick, right? Because we've been trading down here for such a long time. If it gets above here, it could really squeeze all the way to like 80-90 cents in one go. And if it gets above there, a lot higher. But for now it's just ranging. So waiting game curve. Oof. Yeah, you can see the difference with this one, you know. I like this one more. But yeah, same thing, into resistance. It is likely, in my opinion, that it breaks above it here and trades to these highs. But does that mean you have to long into resistance? Well, no. Then I'd rather wait for something like this where it breaks above there, wait for a consolidation, a local sweep, and try a long there. Or if it squeezes a lot higher already, builds a range here, sweeps the lows. Like, you see what I mean? Rather than longing into daily resistance. You're gonna see on the lower time frames, you still have these small consolidations that give you a chance to get in. But yeah, I like this a lot. ARB. Yeah, looking good because of ETH. But same thing on the high time frame. Not liking it. Look at this on the weekly. Not interested. Floki. Interesting. You can immediately see the biggest level on the chart is this, and the opposite is this. So if it gets above here and reclaims this on a weekly basis, you just buy the retest and target here and up here. But until then, chances of this are still there. So not interested in this for now, but if it reclaims it, then I might. You see these low time frame sweeps into supply, ugly rejection. Now okay, it's coming back up again, but right in here again. So if it does a similar move, right, right, and it rejects, boom, yeah, then could get ugly. What's Bitcoin doing? Looking good. Sui is one I like as well. Swept the lows, but also on this one, I'd like to see more strength and like really a break above here. Because I could still see this reject heavily. Tau is one I really like as well. But I was waiting for a retrace. As you can see, no wick to the downside. So ideally looking for something like this, and then I'd long targeting all the way up there. But yeah, I could easily run from here. But I just don't see a setup where I long here. All right. The way he says Tao. Yeah, I'm sorry. S&P looking strong, looking like it wants to trade to new highs. Silver did something crazy. Well, not that crazy, but remember when we bought like in this consolidation, finally broke out. So looking for a continuation now. A gold style of run. And these are some targets, but honestly, I could see it really pump to like $100 or something once it gets going. Once it trades to new all-time highs, you know, could really outperform. Platinum, it's funny because I talked about it like a week ago when it was still in this consolidation, and now it's also looking like it wants to break out. I have a small bag of this as well. So yeah, metals looking good as well. That can only be a good thing, in my opinion, for Bitcoin. So let's see. All right. Let's do Bird. I like Bird. Still think it trades to these range highs. Simply consolidating, right? So we bought again right here. Traded to range mean, consolidating, swept the highs, swept the lows. Likely continuation now, in my opinion, towards range highs. If it closes the weekly above here, yeah, then I think we trade all the way to the highs up here. So I still have a bag. AVEX I did like as well. Let's see. Yeah, I like this sweep, but same thing, you know, resistance. So I just want to see the reactions here. If things do this, yeah, then they're likely gonna break out, trade like here. But if they reject here, yeah, then I could see them trade a lot lower. But overall looking good. What's this? I'm not gonna chart this. Inch. Also one of my favorites. Although it's been pretty weak. Yeah, I like these highs though. Good chance that we at least sweep those. So on the lower time frames, that could be a nice target for longs. But yeah, as you can see, once again traded into resistance here. So either I would wait for a retest of this and then try a long on the lower time frames right there, or sit it out. Maker. Yeah, of course, Maker broke out because we were watching it for weeks and we were targeting range highs, and now it broke out because we are in no position. But yeah, I've been talking about this one in the Discord and on Twitter as well for the past couple weeks. That I said I really liked it, and look at what it's doing now. So yeah, next target, range highs. Would I long here? Obviously not, because you don't have any risk reward. Would I look for longs if it retraces? Yeah, probably. So if we close the daily up here, maybe do something like this and retrace in here, then I'd be looking for longs again, targeting range high. But up here, waiting game for me. Yep. Yeah, same. Swept the lows, swept the highs. Like you can see it's weak, you know. Why would you look at a coin that looks like this rather than a coin that looks like this, for example? You see? So I wouldn't bother looking at it. Why are sweep of the lows something you look for to get long? Is that because you get a better entry at a lower price, or is it there more to it? It's based on liquidity, you know, grabbing liquidity below a key low or above a key high into an area can yes give you really nice entries, but also really nice invalidations above or below the area, right below the low, right? If you look for a sweep of a low, if price does this, right, and this is for example a weekly open, a daily open, where price traded before and broke out of, right, that's your demand area. Then you look for longs on the sweep of that low into that area and look for strength, right? And then you have clean invalidation below here. Yeah, that's what I always look for. WEM was good in the 4 hour, it looks like shit in the weekly. Yeah, I'm not gonna take a look at a chart that looks like this, man. Like, what is this? Anyways. If everything is at resistance, shouldn't we rather look for short opportunities? No, it's not because things are at resistance that you have to short, and it's not because things are at support that you have to long. Because, in my opinion, there's a good chance that resistances break. Bitcoin is technically at this weekly resistance, but also broke above a lot of key levels as well, and has clean invalidation to the downside as well. So likely we break out to new highs, and if Bitcoin does that, Ethereum does that, like alts will follow. So no, it's also not because you're at low time frame resistance that you cannot break above them on the lower time frames, because the higher time frames look good, you know. So yeah, like I said, these are the 3 positions I'm in. On the 10K account, like I said, I redeposited 30K of the 60K I withdrew, and I'm in Bitcoin longs with stops at break even, cookie longs pretty much at break even, and now BNB longs at break even as well. Right. Okay, we're gonna end the stream here then. We covered a lot, gave our thoughts on a lot. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you subscribe to get notified when I go live again. Leave a like. Thanks to Bluefin for sponsoring. If you want to join the Discord, like I said, it's completely free. All I'm asking is to make an account on Bluefin under my link and make a deposit. Just try out the exchange, and then you're able to join. All right, see you next time. I hope I helped some of you giving my view, and I will see you soon. Bye.